You're listening to the Catholic Wives Desiring Peace podcast. Today's Food for Thought episode is about what if. Are you a Catholic wife grappling with challenging in-laws? The Catholic Wives Desiring Peace podcast is your sanctuary for navigating these sometimes stormy seas of life with toxic in-laws, while being validated for what you've experienced. Join me, your host, Miriam Susan, a Catholic wife who's weathered nearly 3 decades of in-law drama, as we tackle the tough issues you're dealing with head on. Hi, Miriam Susan here. Welcome to today's podcast episode. It's another Food for Thought episode, one of my shorter format podcast episodes for those times of year like we're in right now when life is just crazy busy, but I don't want to leave you hanging without some kind of encouragement coming into your podcast app every week. So this week's topic is about what if? What if? That's a question that we as daughters-in-law tend to ask ourselves a lot. We wonder, what if we did this? What if they say this? What if this happens? And on and on. And I'm just going to tell you and be very straightforward. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The what ifs don't matter in regards to your in-laws. I think we'll always have those questions in our heads about, what if they start talking bad about me? What if things change? What if I were to do something different? And yes, it is good to have some self-reflection. But when you're dealing with toxic personalities, toxic people, toxic in-laws, those what ifs can keep you stuck in a web of control and manipulation. I see women who are asking questions about, if I say this, if I stand up for myself, if I put this boundary in place, if I decide that I need to talk with my husband about going low or no contact, then my in-laws might start talking bad about me to other people. Let me clue you into something that is probably pretty obvious, but I feel like sometimes needs to be said. They're already talking badly about you. If you are worried about the victim role that they will get to play when you cut off contact, you need to quit worrying about that because they're already playing that role. It doesn't matter whether you are in full contact and fully enmeshed, or you have gone no contact and have been no contact for a very long time. Those toxic people, they're going to say what they want to say. They're going to do what they want to do. And you don't have any control over that. You don't. You might think that you do. You might think that maybe if I am just more accommodating, maybe if I'm just more forgiving, maybe I'm holding on to anger, maybe I'm bitter, and if I just let that go, that things would get better. It might. But you are only one small part of the equation. You cannot control the behavior of another person by your behavior. You can't. And if you can, then that's not a healthy relationship. So when you start to have those thoughts of, what if we cut off contact and it's the holidays and all of my in-laws are together and our names come up? What if they start talking badly about me? What if they start gossiping about my children? What if? What if is not the right question to be asking, is it? You wouldn't have to go low or no contact with someone if the relationship was healthy. And healthy relationships, generally speaking, don't involve trashing somebody behind their back. They don't involve playing the victim when things don't go your way so that you can manipulate and control somebody into doing what you want them to do. So this question of what if, again, it's not the right question to be asking because toxic people do toxic things. It doesn't matter. I spent so much time, so much energy, really wasted energy, if you think about it, trying to do things to please my in-laws. For what? For them to stalk us? For them to play the victim anyway? for them to do all the crazy, crazy things that they did. And yes, I want to be able to approach God and know that I behaved in the best way, the most charitable way possible towards my in-laws. But when it takes up so much energy, when it actually takes energy away from my family to put towards them, that's disordered. First of all, it's not the proper order of a Catholic family for us as wives to be pouring so much energy into an external relationship, a relationship outside of our immediate family. But with toxic people, oftentimes they will take your good deeds. They will take your kindness. They will take your generosity. They will take your love and twist it. I often thought about the scripture about casting your pearls before swine. That's what it felt like to me. Many, many, many years. It felt like we are going and doing the best that we can to try to please, appease, forbear, show kindness and love towards my in-laws. And it was met with a lack of gratitude. It was met with a desire for more. And what's funny is that I was often accused of being ungrateful. I was not ungrateful. I just had enough. I had enough of trying to give my best to people who never thought it was good enough. That's not a loving, caring relationship. If you give your best only to be met with your in-laws commenting about maybe your bed that you have for them in their own private guest room, maybe it's not as comfortable as they like. Maybe they don't like the pillows. Maybe they prefer feather pillows and you have polyfill pillows or memory foam pillows or whatever it is. When you are dealing with in-laws like this, it's exhausting. It is truly exhausting, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and spiritually exhausting, because it feels like nothing you do is good enough. And sadly, if this is a family dynamic that we were raised in, we can tend to project that onto God the Father and the Blessed Mother. And that's not how they see us at all. I wanted to interrupt this podcast to talk with you about kind of the elephant in the room, the holidays. Yes, the holidays are soon upon us. And if you have toxic or challenging or even just kind of controlling in-laws, you're probably not facing Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's with the sense of joy and peace and anticipation that I feel like our Lord would have us approach it with. Instead, you're probably feeling a sense of dread, a sense of overwhelm, a sense of anxiety and stress because you know that if this holiday goes like last year and the year before, it's going to be kind of miserable. I want to give you the opportunity to get a resource that will really help you take control back from these demanding, these toxic in-laws that you have and bring some joy and peace to your holidays. It is my Scripts for Toxic In-Laws Holiday Edition. This is a collection of over 20 different scenarios and conversations to go along with it. If you have an issue with gift giving with your in-laws, there's a conversation that you can use about that. If you have issues with your family traditions, there's one about that. If you have an issue with scheduling or food, all of that is covered inside the Scripts for Toxic In-Laws Holiday Edition. I want you to enter into this holiday season with a sense of calm and confidence, knowing that you can approach these difficult conversations with a charitable heart towards your in-laws. If you're tired of struggling with how to talk to your in-laws about things that really matter to you, but you feel like you've just kind of been steamrolled over in the past, I encourage you, go to desiringpeace.com/holiday and get your copy of the Scripts for Toxic In-Laws Holiday Edition. This is your opportunity to make this holiday season different than all of the rest. Don't let another moment pass. pause this podcast, head over to desiringpeace.com/holiday to get your copy now. Let's go back to the episode. So if you are dealing with a lot of what ifs, or maybe your husband is struggling with a lot of what ifs. Well, what if we cut off the family and one of my grandparents gets sick? You know what? As sad as that is, sometimes that is a sacrifice that you make in order to keep your primary vocation, to keep your primary family unit, you, your spouse, and your children, safe from people who are not safe to be around. Yes, we have absolutely no contact with my husband's extended family. That includes his grandparents, 2 of them that are still living as far as we know, all of his aunts and uncles, all of his cousins, all of our nieces and nephews, all of it. Is it a sacrifice? Yes, it is a great sacrifice. But my husband has reiterated over and over and over again that that was the right decision. That his primary responsibility is to protect us, that's me, his wife, and our children, from the super toxic behavior of his parents. And while the sacrifice is just that, a sacrifice, we did not allow the what ifs to cloud our judgment when we went no contact with his parents. Remember, the what if question can be helpful because it allows you the opportunity to self-reflect, to see, what if we did this? Is there another way to approach this? Is there something different that I can do that I haven't done in the past that might result in a different outcome? Those questions are important. But when you start using the what ifs to not keep your family safe, to allow and enable your in-laws to do harmful things to you or your family, that's when you need to let go of that question. God bless you. Go in peace. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Catholic Wives Desiring Peace podcast. I have a free gift for you that I would love for you to get. It is my free scripts for toxic in-laws. It's a little PDF that you can use to give you some examples of how to speak to your in-laws about certain issues. I'd love to give it to you absolutely free. So if you head to desiringpeace.com/gift, it will be there waiting for you. Just enter your name and email so you can start using it for inspiration on how to talk with your toxic in-laws. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Go to desiringpeace.com/gift to claim your gift now. Disclaimer. All content and information on this podcast and our website, including our programs, products, and or services, is for information and educational purposes only and does not constitute professional medical, psychiatric, or mental health advice of any kind, and does not establish any kind of professional client relationship by your listening to this podcast or use of my website. A professional client relationship with you is only formed after we have expressly entered into a written agreement with you that you have signed, including our fee structure and other terms to work with you in a specific matter. Although we strive to provide accurate general information, the information presented here is not a substitute for any kind of professional advice, and you should not rely solely on this information. Always consult a professional in the area for your particular needs and circumstances prior to making any professional, medical, or mental health related decisions.